Oh, Amanda and Tammy. Oh, wait, actually, Tina, Ashley, Jeanette, Micaiah, Allie. Hello.
Going. Let me get video. There we go.
What's up?
Hey!
Look at you guys. Good morning.
It's early.
So early.
Us.
What time do
Rise
you
and
guys
shine.
What time do you guys normally wake up?
Well, like we've been getting up. I usually get up early at like 6, but since it stays light so late at night,
Yeah.
we've been going to bed at like 11 and then getting up at like 7 or 8. So this was like a shock to the system again.
Oh my gosh. Well,
morning.
thank you so much for, making this compromise. There is already like 24 people waiting to get in. So, this is like a live interview and, there is audience. So we're going to let everybody in just a second, but we figured, of course, we just want to say hi first. We'll let everybody in. We'll just do like small talk just to get everybody settled. Whoever else will want to come in within a couple of minutes, we'll jump in and I will just let them in. We're really stoked to have you guys. So thank you so much. We're going to have so much fun. Are we ready to let everybody in?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay. So what are you ladies drinking this morning?
Ezekiel bread. And I have
I'm drinking coffee.
Meredith, 1 second.
I almost have to like close my eyes.
Sounds like somebody's listening
We're
to like
asking you
guided
guys to
meditation.
Got it. Can you hear us?
So what are you guys drinking this morning?
I'm having coffee. I just do black coffee with like a little almond milk in it.
Awesome.
I don't do coffee anymore. I had like water with lemon juice and Himalayan pink sea salt.
Yep. We do that in the morning too, and then we drink our coffee.
Yeah. It's a good habit.
For sure. It cleans you up. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you guys are up in Canada, right?
Yeah, we're in Calgary, Alberta.
Anybody from Canada in the house?
There's Canadians up in here, but half of them have their screen off because they're just as sleepy
Oh,
as you guys.
Stacy's. I think Stacy's from Alberta, right? You guys drop a comment.
Hello.
And tell us where you all from. Oh, Mary is in Canada too. Where are you guys representing? Iowa, Chicago, Oklahoma, Texas, Montreal. Okay, Victoria, BC.
Yeah, good.
There you go.
Coastal India.
Awesome. You guys, are we all ready to get this party started? Thumbs up. Awesome.
I just have to ask you two one favor. Try not to flex because the screens might break.
Oh.
So
Got it.
that's all I ask.
We don't do that in the morning, so you're good.
We'll leave it for the workouts.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay, give me
All right,
just 1 second.
I'm gonna step to the side because if I am here and I just talk too much and it takes forever and it's.
Erin is the entertainment crew, so if she was here, I mean.
Hey, I have to ask though, is there a funny one and a smart one?
They're both fucking smart.
I'll let you answer that.
I don't know. I'd say we're pretty equal on both. It
Yeah.
depends. It depends on the situation.
We're
You're
very
both funny and you're both smart.
I'm more sarcastic.
She's got the sarcasm down. I do like funny, but in like references that maybe you've never heard of kind of way. So like when someone gets my humor, I really appreciate that because a lot of times it just sails right over people.
Wait, okay. So Meredith, you're Canadian, and Alex, you're American, right?
No, opposite. I'm American. Alex is Canadian.
Oh, well, I know that Americans are super sarcastic. I feel like when foreigners come to this country, it's like we need to take sarcasm 101.
Yeah. I feel like Americans are just rude sometimes though. They just and they're sarcastic. They're like, yeah, you're ugly. Just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I know they do that. You're 100% right. I do feel that. And by the way, you guys, for all the Americans in the house, I mean, we obviously,
Our crew is dope.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few good ones.
A few.
Hello.
Yeah. She's okay.
but for the audience too, like, and this, we talk about it so much in our show. Don't you feel like, like Americans in general, like they just have a really hard time expressing their feelings? Like, get to the point.
Yeah.
I feel like foreigners, like we're totally cool about it. I know that where I'm from, it's like people are almost too blunt. It's like
Americans think they're rude because we're sensitive.
I'd say there's no probably nationality that comes off ruder than like the Swedes. Like Swedish people just come off
really
as rude. Yeah, it's just like they're very, like as a nationality, they're very, very blunt and to the point. And I think it's like, it's the translation to English, but when they speak English to you, it comes across as very like, oh.
because they don't know the in-between soft words.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like,
yeah, on top of like as a, like a culture sort of being that way anyways. So I hope you get to, if you haven't interacted with Swedish people, I highly recommend it.
I totally have. My client, Susan was.
Oh, that's right. She was.
Anyways, I'll let you guys get to it.
All right, so you guys, give me just 1 second. I'm gonna get set up, and then we're gonna get this party started.
Wait, I do want to see who else.
You want to join us?
What if more?
Then I let them in. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, we ready to go, everybody? I'm ready.
Yay!
Perfect. Taking off. All right, you guys. Good morning. Today I have with me the female power couple. Individually, they're both incredibly powerful, but together they're a real powerhouse. As if it is not obvious enough already, both in a physical sense, you guys, and in life. Alex, 2015 CrossFit Games athlete and 6 times regional athlete, and you're also a lawyer. Meredith, 2018 CrossFit Games athlete and 4 times regional athlete, and you're a biological engineer. They both co-own the Tactic Method, which is located all the way up in Canada. Alex Barker and Meredith Root, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, such a powerhouse. So, whenever we get started with any of the interviews, the first question that we like to talk about is basically like your journey, like what got you to where you are today, because it's super important to understand like where you came from, right, in order to understand where it is that you're going. So I mean, it's very obvious that you guys live an incredibly like fit lifestyle, right? And that it's something that you're both passionate about with the Tactic Method, which we'll talk about later on in the conversation. But how did your passion for fitness and nutrition come about?
It just kind of like, honestly, it just kind of happened. I wasn't a particular, like I was an athlete growing up. I played a few different sports and I swam at a pretty high level, but wasn't like phenomenal. I wasn't an athlete in college. So when I went to college, I stopped training at an elite level because I wasn't swimming. And so there was kind of an in-between between like age 19 and age like 23, where I was just kind of dabbling in some like biking, doing some running, which I hated, and just trying to like kind of find myself and figure out what it was I wanted to do. And then just like kind of stumbled upon CrossFit in 2012 and was very recreational. I don't even think I could hold a barbell over my head when I started doing CrossFit in 2012. Like I was very unremarkable when I started. And when like my first coach is like, he likes to point that out as kind of a story about what you can do if you stick to it. So I really got into it right away though. And I did it part-time while I was working in the pharmaceutical industry. Went to regionals a few times, starting in 2015. And that was around the time, like 2014, 2015 is when I started dabbling in in my own nutrition around 2014, and then started coaching others in 2015. And it was in line with what I was doing for a career, right? So like as a biological engineer and for the company that I worked for, I was doing a lot of like cell culture and microbiology. And so concerning myself with like nutrition and health of cells, and really like, it's not that different than humans. The cells listen better. That was the only difference. So that was probably when like I got into nutrition. I saw the impact that it had on me, and then I saw the impact that it had on people at my gym. Started coaching that more full-time in 2017, and then started up Tactic in 2018. And kind of like, you know, in the midst of that, I got a divorce. I used to be married to a man, which a lot of people don't know. So that happened. I moved to Calgary. It wasn't like I didn't leave him for Alex. So to be super clear, that's not what happened. But I did end up moving. I was kind of in between like careers or making decisions about what I wanted to do with my life. And so in typical gay girl fashion, I U-hauled to Canada.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah. And that's really when things took off. Like 2018 was a great year for me, like training wise. I went to the games that year. Tactic came about in 2018, just shortly after the games. So that's really, I think, when like things sort of really took off for me and for us. So and now we're here.
I love it. Alex, share with us your story. How did it all start for you? And thank you so much for sharing that, Meredith.
We actually have pretty similar stories. I started CrossFit at the end of 2012, and then basically went to regionals. I went to regionals on a team in 2013. But I got into CrossFit. I was graduating. So I grew up basically playing every single sport, and just super into athletics. And I did quite well at most sports. And I narrowed in as I was getting into my later teens on golf and alpine ski racing. And those two worked because golf is a summer sport and winter is traditionally a winter sport, or skiing is a winter sport. But then as you start getting more serious about skiing, you have to start traveling to like Europe and South America to train on the glaciers during the summertime, just so that you can get that like competitive edge. So I was on the provincial team here, and then I qualified for like the national team and had to basically quit golf. And then after a year on the national team, it wasn't really something that I could see myself doing long-term. We started traveling to Europe and like competing against the Europeans, and they're very, very, very strong. And like they grow up skiing. And so I started seeing myself compared against the rest of the world, and was like, my ultimate goal was to make it to the Olympics. And I was like, even if I make it to the Olympics, like I'm not going to be winning the Olympics. Like to me, it just seemed like a lot of sacrifice and focusing on one sport where you're kind of just going to be on the outskirts. I kind of sensed. Plus I was also pretty academic growing up. Like my mom and dad are both lawyers, and they really pushed like the importance of school and good grades. And so I ended up finding kind of an even medium and going on a athletic scholarship to the University of Alaska for alpine skiing. And it was cool. It was like 4 years. We got to travel around the lower 48 and a lot for ski racing, like Utah, Colorado, Vermont, all those places, New Mexico. And then at the end of my 4 years, I was majoring in psychology and then minoring in philosophy, with the goal of being a psychologist, like a sports psychologist. And then after that, I kind of realized sports psychology is a very small field. And I took some other courses, and business law was one of them. And I was like, I'll just go to law school. And partially because both my parents were lawyers, and it seemed like a good And I loved law school. It was great. But then when I started practicing, it was not really the lifestyle is very different than what I enjoy. It's very much like live to work. And it was very difficult for me to balance like other things in my life, like my relationship with Meredith, who had just moved to Canada. Exercise, like sleep even was falling to the back burner. And so when the opportunity arose to start up our own business, I kind of jumped on that because with my history in sport, I've always been into nutrition and just like performance. And then a lot of nutrition coaching is psychology and like habit building, just talking to people. And so it kind of like, it was a really good direction for me to move in. It's like a completely different direction, but it also was a good use of my education up to that point. Like starting a business, you need to be kind of like, you need to know how that works. So it was really easy for us to do that. And then, yeah, like I said, the nutrition coaching part, of course, it took some time. I mentored with another coach for a bit just to make sure I kind of knew the ropes. And then Meredith had been doing it for a while, so it was easy for me to kind of learn a lot from her. But yeah, it's been a really cool journey.
I love it. So you guys, they're sharing a lot of like really important points and golden nuggets. So Meredith, something that was really interesting that you said, and of course, everything that you're saying is awesome, and we love to hear your story. But when you said, if you can stick with something long enough, you can achieve something great from it, right? So like that was lesson number one from Meredith, like, right? She stuck with CrossFit for 3 years. And I'm sure, like, aside from the fact that you're probably super talented and you worked your ass off, right? Like, you know, we can achieve anything in life for as long as you're consistent enough. So consistency is something that's really important. I'm sure we're going to touch up on it in just a little bit. And Alex, with you, it's like making sacrifice for what matters to you, right? So like you made 2 sacrifices in your journey so far, or at least from what you shared, right? You know, with regards to, okay, I quit golfing for the sake of, you know, basically like taking alpine skiing full time because I wanted to be all in. You know, and then with regards to your career, you made a sacrifice, right? Like, you know, you got this degree in law, but you're like, this is not in alignment with my core values and how I live my life, so I'm going to transition. By the way, it's really cool that you're a business lawyer because basically, like, you guys already have a business lawyer.
It is actually, when we deal with like anytime we have to write up a contract or something for a contractor, like there's a legal issue, it's kind of nice to not, like, we have another lawyer, like we have a lawyer who kind of like does deal with some of our books and things. But it's nice to kind of not have to, like, man, we're saving so much money.
Sure. Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great skill. So I love how you can harmonize it. You know, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the behavioral aspect of nutrition. You know, something that we always say when it comes to nutrition is, of course, the physiological effect and then the behavioral effect as well, which I think, you know, like doctors in general, like they never consider that, right? And that's why like people fail at doing diets because it's so behavioral. So, you know, for women specifically, you know, according to Science Daily, 75% of women have an unhealthy relationship with food. I know that, you know, for the longest time, a big part of my journey was overcoming a terrible relationship with food. So, you know, if you guys can share with us your journey with regards to your relationship with food, you know, have you guys ever struggled? How did it evolve? And, you know, at what moment as well in your life did the trajectory of your relationship with food change?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think I would be lying if I said I still didn't have moments where I don't struggle with food. It's just like, it's kind of a thing, and it's really hard to like, to get out from under that. I'd say like my moments are pretty far in between. Like they don't happen often anymore. but they used to, for sure. I mean, it's just like, it's what you do, especially when you're, like for me, when I was getting into CrossFit, like, it's just, okay, you know, I want to look this way, so I'm going to eat less, when like that was so far off base, because I was never someone who had a great deal of weight to lose. I just like, I needed to be patient and like work hard in training and allow my body to change as a result of my training and not my nutrition. And that took a long time to understand. I like, probably the shift for me, like the shift happens over time. So I can't say like a specific moment, but probably for me, I did some Olympic weightlifting back in like 2013, 2014, competed in that, and was at like a really low weight class. So I was doing the weight cutting thing. It was super unhealthy. And then in 2014, I decided I wanted to be done with that. And I wanted to like kind of be at my natural weight and try to put some muscle on, and started eating, like actually in that moment started eating for performance and paying attention to what I was eating more carbohydrates. And the change that I saw in myself during that year was so significant that it allowed me to kind of say, okay, what I used to think about food was completely wrong. And so it allowed, at least on a level, right? Because you can't get rid of all of the anxiety, like the body image stuff. But at least on a level, it allowed me to detach emotions from eating and say like, okay, I'm just going to eat for performance, 80 or 90% of the time, and like not sweat the other 10 or 20% if I want to like go out and get, tacos or, some ice cream or whatever. So that's kind of where I am now. I know like when I'm feeling away, like what to do and what to adjust. But there are still days where I wake up and I'm like super bloated. And I'm like, man, what the hell? And like the initial thought is like, okay, I'll just eat less today. And like, I'm like, no, like you know better than that. So I think it's, you battle it. I just battle it less frequently.
Oh, this is so powerful. Okay, Alex, share with us your journey.
For me, I would say I don't have as many issues with food necessarily. I think growing up, I was so driven by like performance and just being good at sport. I didn't even think about food really, or like what my body looked like, until I was probably like 18 or 19, like when I went to university and started like drinking more and like eating a bit more, because I was living a bit of a different life just being in university. And I started gaining a bit of weight and then started noticing like, okay, maybe I should like rein it in. And then I would say like when I started CrossFit, I started noticing like my body changing, and then kind of noticing I got really, really, really lean and like lost my period. And like, I wouldn't say it was necessarily me restricting food. It was like, I was so active. I was running a lot as well. So I was doing like running and CrossFit, also playing soccer. This was after university. So when I was like 22, 23, and basically I had gone through some family losses, and my anxiety was super high. And so I fell back on exercise as kind of a coping mechanism. And I would say like, I was basically like addicted to exercise. Like I couldn't go a day without exercising a lot. Like I ran a marathon, like trained and ran for a marathon while like getting into CrossFit. And I would say that's probably like my biggest thing. Once my body started changing from like getting really lean, a lot of people would mention like, oh wow, you look so great, or like, look at your arms, like things that I just never really had before. I don't know, like definitely CrossFit is more upper body, so you start showing your arms off more and they're more muscular. And that's when it started clicking, like probably much later in life than most women, clicking in life like, oh, like my body image is important, or like my body is important, what I look like, other people are noticing. And then I would say like, as I started getting into like my later 30s, later 20s, that's when I started really like kind of like noticing. And then I was tracking as well. And so I was starting to notice like, food is kind of related to that. And so, like I track very meticulously every day. Like I'm just kind of like that. I keep track of things very closely. And when I don't track, I try to like let go. Like when we go on vacation, I'm like, okay, I'm not tracking, and try to like be okay with that. But it's still, there's a struggle. So I wouldn't say I have that many issues with food, but I also do. And I think that's so hard to avoid as a female, and especially in sport these days, because there's so much emphasis on what you look like, and that's so closely tied to what you're eating and your eating habits. So yeah, a bit different than the usual story, I guess, but.
Yeah, 100%. So this is really cool because, like, you know, at least the way that I perceive it is that, like, Meredith, like for you, food, like in the past has been more of like an emotional experience. And, you know, for you, Alex, it's, you know, you're kind of like more logical with it, right? So you're like, I gotta eat. This is gonna make me perform better. I'm gonna just do it, right? However, something that, you know, is really powerful for each and every one of you guys to hear, because regardless of where you're at in your journey, whether you've been at it for a couple of months, a couple of weeks, or a couple of years, is that it never gets easier. You just keep on getting better. And that is the concept of consistency. And that's why, dude, like, you have to fucking show up, you know? This is a side question. So like, what's your thing? Like if you were to like have a treat, like what would be your go-to?
I love like French fries, and also I really love baked goods like cookies.
Okay.
I eat cookies on a pretty regular basis. I also really like M&Ms, and I eat those every day. Not like a whole, bunch of them, but just like a little bit each day. But I would say, yeah, cookies, candy, like chocolate candy, and then French fries.
How about you, Meredith?
Chips and salsa. Like if you go to a Mexican place and they like the basket of chips and the salsa and maybe guacamole, I need someone to cut my hands off when I place, because I can't like stop myself. But so that's probably my one food that I like to treat myself to.
I love it. Well, if you guys ever come to SoCal, I mean, you know, I wonder what the Mexican places in Canada are like, but there's so many great places with chips and salsa. Like I remember Erin and myself, we went out for a drink last weekend, and of course, you know, they bring you a basket of chips and salsa, and they're like, do you want it? And gave herself an allowance of a few, and I just told her, like, you need somebody to hold you accountable, because once your hand like goes into that basket, like game over. Yeah. Right. So yeah, she was able to control herself. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do it.
Sorry.
If we ever go on a double date, Meredith and I are gonna have to hold hands so we don't.
Sometimes I think the first time I saw Meredith in front of chips and salsa, I was like, whoa, like
it's like the Tasmanian devil.
Chips and salsa for time.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I make the waitress like hold me. I'm like, you have to stop this.
Yeah.
And she keeps bringing them. Like they just keep, like, do I die? Like, how does this end?
Oh man, I love it. Okay, so you know what's beautiful about your relationship is that you play so many roles in each other's lives, right? I mean, you train together, you compete together, shit. You know, like you guys both co-own a business together, you know, so it obviously says a lot about the kind of relationship that you have. And I don't know if you guys ever listened to Oprah Winfrey, but I love her so much. And you know, she calls the kind of relationship that you guys have, and I feel extremely grateful because I truly believe that I have that with Erin as well. It's a soulful relationship. It's like, you know, individually you're both powerful, but like together it's almost like, you know, magnetized. But you know, if you guys were to like put together 5 relationship rules for anybody to follow, what would they be?
I would say number 1, and this kind of was highlighted last night with one of our friends who saw one of our stories on Instagram. But it was like, enjoy at least one meal together, like just without distraction. We do that with a fair number of meals, but usually dinner, at least we sit down across the table from each other without our phones and chat.
Love it.
I think if you work with your significant other, even if you don't, but if you maintain a busy work schedule individually, like make time to put work away. Like we kind of go through phases with that, where we'll be like working through our like kind of our free time in the evening, and then it's like, okay, we need to kind of stop that, put that away, and like spend quality time together. It's easy, especially as a business owner, to just work all the time. Like I could always find something to do. Either it's like, chatting with clients or developing social media stuff. Like I can find something to do all the time. So sometimes it's like it takes a little bit of discipline to put that away, to do something that like on the surface looks like it's maybe less valuable, but in reality, it's like the most valuable.
For sure. Love that. Do you guys have any other rules?
Well, this is one we learned recently as well, but it's like to validate each other. So you don't necessarily need to agree with the other person, but like be like, I get it, or like, I see where you're coming from. And that's been helpful when we're, upset with something, or, it like makes us sit down and listen to each other.
Yeah. And we we both have pretty strong personalities. So like we'll get into it sometimes over whatever. So another rule, and we don't always do this, but I really try, is to not go to bed mad at the other person, or like with anything on your mind, like just kind of get it out, settle it, and then, go to bed happy with each other and, feeling validated.
Love it. Do you guys have one more?
Do you have one?
I don't know. I would say, so we do compete against we have more so in the past, but it's a very rocky part of our relationship just because we're both so competitive. And so it's like balancing being competitive with the person that you love and like loving them. It's just like, it has created a lot of turmoil in the past. And so I think when we do compete against each other, it's like, whatever you do, like try not to make the other person feel bad for losing.
Or like, yeah, don't gloat.
Yeah.
I did that once.
I want to share with you guys a quick little story, and for the audience, you're totally going to crack up. So, before Erin and I moved together, she lived in the West Coast and I lived in the East Coast. And then, we did like you guys, a typical, lesbian move. And, we just decided to both of us move to SoCal. And, like Erin went teams to regional. I was never as good as her, but like I'm very competitive. So I thought that, in my head, my ego, like back then I was completely ego driven, and I thought that I could be like her, and, we'll always train together, right? Because like when it's a part of your lifestyle, training is just like, it's sacred, right? So you're like, I want to do this sacred thing, with somebody that I love. And every single workout that she did, you guys, like, she would beat me like so hard. And I was so immature back then, but I'd get so upset. And like, I remember how, like she'll have to have a conversation with me, like to not make me feel bad. I'm like, you're so sweet. I'm like, I must have been so freaking annoying.
We still have to do that. It's like, it is so immature, but I'm like, in the moment, it's so hard to be like, okay with it. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, when you guys were both at the regionals in Del Mar in 2018, we were there watching you guys. And Meredith, I remember, like, you got an invitation to the game.
Shit went down.
And Alex, like, you were like one spot behind her, right?
Yeah, two. I think I was two spots,
yeah.
Which is probably a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think Carlene was in there. We needed that.
Carlene Matthews. Cool. I mean, yeah, I bet that was like pretty, probably kind of like a love-hate feeling. Like it probably brought you turmoil because you're like, I'm so happy for you, but I'm so fucking pissed.
Yeah, 2018 regionals was wild. We learned a lot about each other that weekend, like good things, but it was definitely a lot to go through because it was, yeah, every day was a different roller coaster because every day was a little bit different. But we did a really good job that year of like when you're competing individually, you don't do your events until the afternoon. And so we spent every morning like just kind of hanging out in the hotel room in bed watching Queer as Folk, and like that was which is a great show. um
Very distracting.
yeah, and it was like hey, like we went to the rounds and we competed, and then we came home and came to the hotel and did it all over again.
We haven't really competed against each other individually since 2018 because it was very difficult. Like we made it and it was a good growing experience, but it's definitely something that we try to kind of avoid a little bit if we can. So like the last couple competed on teams together.
Right. Meredith,
Which is
didn't you
better.
go teams in 2019 or something?
Yeah, we didn't compete. We went to Granite Games on a team,
Okay.
and we're one spot away on a bit of a technicality. And then we went demo team that year together, which was good. That was a good experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, this is a complete side question. So, Queer as Folk versus L Word, who wins? The audience, I want to hear it from you guys too. Are you guys team Queer as Folk or the L Word? What? Well, all the gay ones will know. And if you're gay and you still haven't watched the L Word, okay, you got some homework to do this weekend.
Or if you're not gay and you have watched it, you might be.
It's good.
Have you guys watched a new series of the L Word, like what's it called, Generation Z or something?
Yeah, we have. I don't actually think we've watched the final episode, but we watched most of them. We just need to watch
It didn't live up to the original series.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
Not as good.
I agree. I love it. Amazing. Well, speaking of gay, you know, being gay, like coming out is a huge part of, you know, your own journey of self-development, right? Because it's like in 100% like alignment with, you know, like living an authentic life. Can you guys share with us your coming out story?
Well, mine's pretty, yeah, mine's kind of rough. But so I grew up in the South. I'm from North Carolina. I'm saying that because I'm like from a community thing, but so I was kind of surrounded by people. I didn't have any gay people in my life. There wasn't anyone that I could look to and kind of understand that you can have a very normal and happy life being gay. And so, you know, because of some other things that happened in my like childhood, I really like as a teenager, and so that's what I sought out, despite the fact that like a long time ago, I made the decision to kind of take this, what I thought at the time was like the safe path, which was like go to school, get an engineering degree, find an engineer, marry the engineer, like buy a house with white picket fence and just have a life that. And I had all those things, but it's like, you know, I would lay in bed at night or, you know, whatever. And I would kind of feel like I was just looking down on myself. Like I was looking at someone else's life. Like it wasn't my life. It was kind of, I used to have these weird kind of out of body experiences. And I just like, that started to get worse and worse and worse. And then a girl moved to Raleigh who I became friends with her. It's Meg Reardon. So she moved to North Carolina from California, and we became good friends. And she had a partner, and I was like, oh shit, like you can have a normal life and be super happy. And that was kind of when the wheels started turning, and I was like, okay, I have to make a change. And so like when I came out first to my sister who was trying to like counseling at the time. And I think when I finally told her, she was like, oh, that makes sense. Which was ironically the exact same response that I got from my dad. And I was like, well, shit, like if you guys knew, why didn't you say something? So that was kind of it. And then like, it was hard because it obviously resulted in the end of a relationship for me. And it's, you know, even though I'm gay and I was in a straight relationship, it doesn't mean that like there wasn't a good relationship formed there. Like I did have a relationship with him. I did have a relationship with his family, and it was like, it was a bit of a breakup, and I knew that I was going to hurt people by doing that, but it was like, ultimately I was going to hurt him no matter what. So that's kind of my story. And then, did the online dating thing for a while, and we hooked up in Miami.
Miami!
Guadalajara. Yeah.
No, what year?
2017.
Oh, I was gonna say shut the fuck.
Erin and I met in 2016.
That was it.
Yeah. And she was like 2 weeks away from getting married to a dude. Your story reminds me of her so much. It's crazy. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much.
It's very common. Yeah, I didn't realize it was quite as common as
really
as it is. Yeah, like you just never like you don't hear about it. Like even like Cassidy Lance and Allie, she was in a relationship. Like Nicole Holcomb was married to a guy. Like I didn't know any of this because it's just not something that people like talk about or put out there. Mm-hmm. So I always try to make sure that I talk about it so people know that it's like a thing.
I love it. We actually have a friend in common. His name is Ritual Correa. He's done a lot of photography for us. And I remember, like, I think it was like one of our previous photo shoots, but he's like, yeah, do you guys know that like Alex and Meredith are a couple? And we're like, no, we had no idea. So he was telling us, it's crazy. What a small world. But I mean, Miami is where it's at. It's such a special place. Alex, share with us your story. By the way, you guys, like, it keeps going into the twilight zone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, our cat, we can hear you.
I'll go check the internet again. Our cat pulls the plugs out of the wall, and she just did it. That's why I was up trying to fix it. I'll go check again.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no worries.
She's really good. You might be able to see her if I like that. But
do you guys have any dogs?
No, we just have a cat, and sometimes she makes me wish I had a dog.
They're pretty low maintenance. How old is she?
She's how old is Ivy? She's like 10 months.
I was gonna ask, what's her name?
Ivy, but not after Ivanka Trump. Just she's.
Uh-oh, you just went into the twilight zone again.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think it's a lot better.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. We can always cut out our video and do audio only if it keeps.
It's all good. It's all good. If anything, we'll just put 2 and 2 together. You guys, are we enjoying this so far? You guys are totally rocking this. So thank you again. Alex, share with us your story.
So I came out when I was 26, about a year before I met Meredith. And is there like LTE?
Yeah.
We're going to try to hook up to a different internet.
Yeah, no worries.
See how this works.
Let the engineer take it.
The biological engineer?
Yeah, the computer engineer right now.
Which one of y'all is more tech savvy?
Oh, not even
it's not even close. It's like Alex is so shockingly bad at technology. Like sometimes I think she's playing a joke on me.
Ah.
She does math outside of Excel and then enters the numbers into Excel from her like phone calculator. I'm like, what are you doing?
The only thing I ever needed to use like in law school was Word and the internet, and that was it. Like you didn't really need to be doing any math or anything, or like even presentations. Like I never really needed to make those. But so yeah, my coming out story, I was about 26. Before that, like I think I knew I was gay for a really long time. I was trying to, in university, I dated a guy for like over a year. And then after university, I started dating somebody else, like in the CrossFit world, a guy. And like both times I was like, this isn't right. But I just stuck with it because I was scared of, I don't know. Honestly, looking back, I don't really know what I was scared of. I think just being like, like letting people down. As, I was worried about what people were going to think, especially my parents. Like I remember at one point I was like, I'll come out when my mom and dad die. Like, and
like
then
your parents are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, like they were totally fine with it. And I never thought that they would like have a negative response to it. I just like, I don't think for me, I didn't want to let them down. It was, so I came out, I went to law school and I started kind of like seeing this girl in secret. And I was like, yeah, like, this is definitely something that I need to deal with. So I started slowly telling.
Oh man.
Internet option B failed.
People, and it's funny, like the first person made a difference. They're paused.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
You guys went into the Twilight Zone for like, you were under a tunnel in the Twilight Zone. So the last thing that we heard is you started dating a girl and you're like, yep, I'm definitely gay. And then you went under a tunnel.
Yeah. And then I just basically started telling people slowly, and then, but not my parents. And then I started seeing another girl, and when I was in law school, I was living 3 hours away, my parents. And then I met this girl in Calgary where my parents live. And I was like driving back and forth from Calgary to where I was going to school. Like I was doing the 3 hour drive a lot, kind of like back home on the weekends to see this girl. And my mom and dad, I think, were starting to get a little suspicious. And finally, like this girl is awesome. She was like she was an Olympic athlete. So she was very out there. Like, everyone knew she was gay. She's just like super awesome about it and proactive, I guess you could say. And she kind of gave me the courage to just like tell my mom. And it's hard. That was so hard. But once I told her, she was like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like she kind of knew, I think, again, kind of like Meredith, kind of knew. And then after that, like, I feel like I changed as a person. Like I was so much more like comfortable with who I was. I wasn't as secretive with things in my life. I was able to like relate with people more and like talk about personal things. Yeah, I just became like an open person. Whereas before that, I was just extremely closed off and like secretive and not even just with like who I was dating. It was like just everything in my life. Like I just felt like I formed better relationships. It's crazy how like that has such a big impact on who you are and like how you are.
100%. And, you know, for anybody listening, you know, a lot of our audience are, you know, basically a part of the family, everybody's family by the end of the day. But, you know, wherever you're at in your journey, like just coming out, like it's something courageous, right? And this is something that you guys talked about earlier, like, you know, the need for validation, right? So like, you know, there's people that you love and you feel like, you know, once you tell them the news, like they might react in a way that will not validate you for who you are and you care about them. However, like, you know, wherever you guys are at in your journey, if you're like, oh my gosh, I just found out that I'm gay, or I know that I'm gay, but I haven't come out yet because I don't know. It's like, it's a huge part of your own self development journey. And, you know, from my own experience, and please agree with me if you feel that way, like I believe that you're never going to be at a point where you're just 100% fulfilled with who you are until you're able to live authentically, like, hey, this is me. Just like, you know, God forbid if something was to happen and you didn't have a leg, and, you know, it's like, hey, this is me. Awesome. I love it. Okay. So from your own personal and, you know, professional life, you guys, again, you play so many roles in each other's life, right? But I want to talk about how your relationship with food affects your relationship with one another. Have you guys like ever noticed any trends?
I would say, so with Meredith, she's a little bit more relaxed than I am with food. It's been, and with exercise. She like, so I only started taking like rest days when I was starting to date Meredith. Like, and because I never did that before, it was like, there was no rest day. And then it was like, okay, like she kind of like, I guess having something else to do, like hang out with Meredith, or we would go places, do things on our rest day. And it's kind of the same thing with food. Like I never really like went out for dinner very often, or places where I couldn't track. And now Meredith really likes going out for dinner. So it's kind of a way to kind of like, I'll loosen the reins on myself a little bit to be able to enjoy dinners with her. But I think like day to day, we eat pretty much the same. We kind of had the same preferences before we met each other, but I would say, yeah, the going out thing is the big thing.
Yeah. And then the flip side of that is like, because I am someone who's a little bit looser with my like diet and lifestyle, not loose in a bad way, but I like chips. I have an inclination sometimes to not, like I'll like, if I'm not feeling a workout, I'll just like, I'll rest or I'll skip it or whatever. And like, I've done that for ages, and not to really a detriment of my performance. But sometimes it does, like when I'm on the fence, like, do I want to do this training session? Do I want to do something easy? Do I not want to work out? It helps to have Alex who's like, just do the workout. I'm like, okay. Like, so she sometimes shifts me over like to the more structured side of things, which isn't a bad thing either, because I still have like performance goals and I still want to do my best. So it's definitely a balance. Like she helps me be a little more structured, and I help her like take a breath when she needs it. So
I love it. So let's talk a little bit, you know, with regards to the professional side. You know, you guys are both nutrition coaches. You both, I think, have the same coach with regards to CrossFit, right? Uh-oh, can you guys hear me?
you cut out for a minute. Can you hear us
now?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about coaching a little bit. You guys are both nutrition coaches. Also, you both have a coach that you work with regards to your own personal goals as far as CrossFit goes, right? Uh-oh, did I get cut out again?
You dipped out, but we can still hear you.
Okay. Did you guys get the question with regards to the coach part?
Just that we have them.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are both coaches, and you have a coach as well, right?
Yep.
So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, the importance of having a coach with regards to achieving something significant versus doing it on your own, because this is something that I noticed as females. You know, we have this mentality because we're just caregivers, right? And of course, if you're a mom, then consider that magnified times 100, right? Like, you know, you want to try figuring it out on your own. It doesn't matter like what goal it is, whether it's, you know, with weight loss, whether it's, you know, athletic, whether it's regards to learning a new skill. From your own experience as a coach with what you help, you know, other people achieve, and also how your coaches has helped you achieve something significant. Can you talk about just like the importance of, you know, having a coach in your life when you have a specific goal?
So I've had both nutrition coaches and performance coaches. I would say that for me, the performance coach has been the most important thing for me. I hired him in 2013 or 14, and I've had him for now, so I guess 6 years. And it's really important to have somebody kind of like outside of yourself, making sure that you're kind of like pushing the limits, because oftentimes I find in workouts, like I don't even know what my potential is. So if you have somebody who knows what they're doing and is able to push you to that next level, but also there's a fine balance. You don't want to get pushed too far, because then you'll lose that, like, you won't feel like you have that ability to do it. So it's like, you just need to be pushed like far enough where you're like, wow, I can do it. Whereas like with nutrition and lifestyle coaching, it's the same thing. Like sometimes it's helpful to have a coach that can recognize where you're falling a bit short, in terms of like reaching your ultimate goal, and then pushing you just a little bit, but just enough so that you can achieve that
Oh no.
goal. And then
Can you guys hear us? The last thing
Sorry.
the last thing we heard you guys
I'm
say
sorry.
is achieve that.
Yeah, so it's important to make sure that you can like get a client to have a small goal that they can achieve, and that maybe they don't even know is a goal. Like a lot of people, they think they're big and come back.
Man, you went into the twilight zone again. A lot of people, I don't know if you remember what you said, but you said a lot of people something.
Don't know.
Okay, so basically we try to, I'm not sure where I left off, but basically we try to set goals for our clients.
The cat.
It's all good.
Yeah, can you hear us? I cut the video out to see if that would help.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's better. Let's try it out.
Okay, so yeah, so it's important to have a coach because you can look at a food log and you can see things that that person may not be able to see themselves. Plus you're more educated, you look at more food logs, you know what to look for, and you know how to help that person like fix that.
Yeah.
I think trying to change things on yourself, like your focus is so small.
Yeah.
You can only see so much. And then also people don't like change. People don't like to push themselves. And so it's good to have somebody else do that for you.
100%. I love it. So it's really important to have somebody who can help you take it to the next level, and also somebody who can see something within you that you can't see yourself, or mechanically see something that you are, are not able to see. Meredith, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think just to like build on that, we're not good at being objective about ourselves. And so I know that from a training perspective. I used to do a lot of my own programming, and I was just injured. And I like myself to take a step back and like what was going on. Instead, just kept pushing, and just kept aggravating injuries to the point where I had to like miss a season. And then I have the same coach that Alex has, and like just kind of letting go of trying to control that myself, and having someone who could look at my situation objectively and understand what forward was, helped me ultimately like reach, my potential as an athlete. So like I was never going to get there on my own. I just wasn't. And so allowing a professional to step in and control that for me was pretty paramount to my success.
I love it.
As an athlete.
I want to talk a little bit about the tactic method and what you guys do. So if you can just, share with us, like, what is the vision and the mission for you guys at Tactic Method, and, how do you guys help people achieve their goals?
So Tactic is, it's a nutrition and lifestyle coaching company. And, we help from all backgrounds. So we have, athletes who compete at an elite level. And then we have people who, have never done nutrition or dieted at all. And they have, major weight loss goals. I would say like the bulk of the people that we work with are more on the recreational side. Let's improve health through nutrition and good and behavior change versus the elite athlete. A lot of people think that we only work with elite athletes, which is definitely not true. So we kind of come at it from two angles. We try to obviously make decisions as coaches based on science and, what exists, evidence-based, but and also the behavioral aspect. So we have, we try information and then we try to help people change their behavior.
Oh no. You guys, they're in a tunnel. We're going under a tunnel.
Are they awesome though, guys?
They're awesome.
They're awesome. There's a lot of similarity.
The cat definitely tore that internet bandwidth out of the fucking wall, like claws and everything. Who in here watched the L Word before though? That's where it's at.
Sorry, we got booted out.
Hey, it's all good. I was like, that cat went to town. I was like, you guys, they're under a really long tunnel. It's all good.
It's all good. I'm on my phone now. So.
Oh, okay. Awesome. It's all good. We're just over here talking about how awesome you guys are. No biggie. You can watch the replay later. Okay, but you were talking about, so the last word that we are actually able to hear is behavioral. So I think you were basically talking about, helping people to, achieve their physical goals through behavioral change. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially that's what we do. That's the bulk of what we do.
Yeah. I love it. Amazing. Sweet. So, if the audience wanted to learn more about you guys, where can they find you?
Well, the easiest place to find us is on our Instagram, which is, you can follow either Tactic Nutrition, that's our business page, or our individual pages, which show up if you search our name. And then we actually have a podcast called The Afternoon Snack, that we had to take a break on because our equipment got lost in the mail. So, there's probably 8 episodes that came out, and there was a break for about a month and a half, and now we're back to releasing episodes there. And then we just started up a YouTube channel. So Tactic Method on YouTube, you can find us there. There's a couple of videos up, so we're staying busy with the content. The podcast is great though, and something we're trying to really get going.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. I dropped in the comments too where they can find you guys. So, okay, the name Afternoon Snack, who came up with it?
I think I came up with that. We wanted something that was not directly related to Tactic, because we do talk about CrossFit and some other things on that podcast, but it was still an homage to the fact that we do talk about nutrition a lot. So that was a good podcast name.
Awesome. I love it. Well, you guys, it was lovely to have you on our show this morning. We definitely enjoyed it. You guys, did we enjoy it? So let's show Alex and Meredith some love. Erin and Sarit style. Bring those hearts together. Here we go. Amazing. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you had to sacrifice a little bit of sleep in order to join us, but I know that, you know, you made an impact on quite a bit of people. And also this will be posted on our YouTube channel as well later on today for more people to be able to rewatch. And for you guys listening or watching, thank you so much for joining us as well. And, you know, if you're on the West Coast, thank you for waking up early so you can join us. If you're in the East Coast and you're already in your office, we hope you found this more entertaining than whatever else you've got going on. Other than that, you guys, I wish you all an incredible weekend. Happy Friday. Stay safe out there. Don't overdo it with the chips and salsa unless it is intentional. Stay fresh, stay fly, stay awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Meredith. You guys are awesome.
And also.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.